Hey everyone, this is the first Warframe video I'm making after returning to the game, so I feel a little out of touch of how I usually do these videos, so don't at me. Anyway, today I am going to show you guys my Plague Kripath build, otherwise known as the Memento Mori. Anyway, to make this video more structured and more solid, it's going to consist of a few parts. Introduction / overview of this weapon, which is this part, the build, the usage, and the demonstration. It's basically a classic Ari Kirino styled build video, so yeah, enjoy. If you want to skip to the build, you can refer to the timestamps displayed on the screen right now. And let's get started. So my Plague Kripath or my Memento Mori is made out of the Aquana Jai 2, the Plague Bokwin, and the pinnacle of this weapon, the Plague Kripath itself. The reason why the Plague Kripath is so sought after and so popular is because of its unique stats. It has innate viral damage, which synergizes really well with condition overload, and a few other nice stats that it can provide. And talking about stats, let's take a look at my Memento Mori. What you're getting here is 18% critical chance, 2.2 crit multiplier, and 25% status chance. This basically makes up a perfect hybrid build. And according to Melee 3.0 meta, this is absolutely a killer. If we look at the heavy attack section, it has a pretty decent damage of 1.3k and around 1.1k for slam attack, but we're not going to be focusing on that today because my build is going to be more focused on light attacks and not so much on the heavy attacks. Maybe you can use the heavy slam attack to do some crowd control, but again, we're not focusing on that. Now back to the stats. If you don't prefer this kind of setup, you can always go for other Zol combinations. It's best to try it out yourself and mix and match to suit your playstyle and preferences. Personally, I prefer to have a little bit of status here, critical chance there, so it makes a pretty balanced weapon if I do say so myself. And again, because you are using a Plague Kripath which already gives a lot of good stats here and there, there's really not much to complain here. And now let's take a look at the build. Introducing the Memento Mori with a hybrid setup right here. Let's go through the build. First of all, critical mods. Of course, Blood Rush and Organ Shatter. Melee 3.0, new meta, blah blah blah. The reason why you want to put in Blood Rush is because you can stack up your combos, and when you do so, you are going to get a really high critical chance, which is what we are actually aiming for in this build because we want to get a lot of raw damage and a lot of DPS at the same time. Another good thing about Blood Rush is that it can benefit your heavy attacks pretty well. If you can get to 12x combo multiplier and then do a heavy attack, you are going to do some crazy damage because you already have a really high crit chance, and plus you already have like a 4.2 crit multiplier, which is going to make your attacks super duper powerful. Not just that, it also synergizes with the pinnacle mod of this build, Condition Overload. Why are we swapping Prime Pressure Point with this mod instead? It's simple. As you can see, the updated Condition Overload will deal 120% damage per status type afflicting the target. Let's say you have a weapon that can only proc 1 or 2 status types on an enemy. It's not going to outperform Prime Pressure Point because the damage increase is not that much. But when you are talking about a weapon that has so many types of status damage, which is basically this Zol right here, if you can proc all 6 status types from this weapon, which is definitely not possible, but with the help of external sources like Cyanex or Pox, you can actually get more than 700% damage increase. This is the reason why we are replacing Prime Pressure Point with Condition Overload, because it can outperform it so well that it makes Prime Pressure Point not relevant anymore. Well, maybe in some cases you still have to use Prime Pressure Point, and I'm talking about heavy attack builds, but still, if you're talking about a hybrid status and crit build, this is the way to go. You don't really need Prime Pressure Point anymore. And by using the right combos in a Twirling Spire stance, you are going to get a lot of guaranteed procs which would have already applied 2 or 3 status types onto an enemy, which provides a lot of damage. Next, we have Prime Fever Strike, which is self-explanatory. It increases the overall damage of this weapon. Now, why are there 2 dual stat mods in this build? It's not exactly the new meta, but there is a reason why they are here. It's just to make this weapon usable outside of Summit Plunge. What I'm talking about is the combos of Twirling Spire. If you want to make the Memento Mori or any similar polearm builds out there to shine, you really want to make use of these two combos, which are Summit Plunge and Cresting Peak, because these two combos have a lot of guaranteed procs, multiplied damage, and most importantly, they have guaranteed knockdowns and lift ups, which is perfect for dealing with VIPs, crowd control, etc. These two dual stat mods make this weapon usable outside of these two combos, which are Vaulting Apex for reaching further targets and a lot of slamming here and there, and also Spiraling Pinnacle for general usage, trash mobs, and also quickly raising your combo counter. Volcanic Edge is definitely an optional mod here. You can replace this with any mod that you like. True Punishment, Weeping Wounds, more crit chance, I don't know, up to you. But the reason why this mod is here is because of enemy control. Fire damage will render enemies in a panic state, meaning they won't attack me as long they are on fire. For example, heavy gunners and bombards, I can use this fire damage to counter them because they don't have to attack me while I'm trying to kill them. Finally, we have the two mods which doesn't really require that much of explanation. Primed Reach, which is something important for polearms, increases range, which basically makes you cover more area and attack more enemies at the same time. And then for Berserker, extra attack speed whenever you do a critical hit, increasing your overall DPS. Simple as that. Now we're done with the build, let's take a look at the usage. How do we make use of this build and definitely make it shine? There really is a lot of ways to do it. Number one is basically to build up combo using Spiraling Pinnacle until you reach 12x, 10x, I don't know, and then doing a heavy attack which can one-shot enemies. Well, not all the time, but you can always finish off high-level heavy gunners or bombards or tough enemies at 50% HP. Yeah, you can definitely deal with those with one good old heavy attack. Or you can also use it to deal a heavy slam attack, which can do a lot of crowd control and that amazing visuals. You can also spam Summit Plunge or Cresting Peak for those sweet, juicy, guaranteed procs which benefits Condition Overload. And not to mention that these two combos are the easiest ones to execute, and also it has a lot of damage multipliers in it, as mentioned before. You can also do a pseudo Tempo Royale crowd control with Vaulting Apex because there's a lot of slamming here and there. And then you should consider using another weapon like Cyanex, Pox, Kastanas to apply more status types on enemies. It synergizes really well with Condition Overload, increasing a tremendous amount of overall DPS. Since Operation Plague is going on right now, you can definitely farm for the Arcane I'm using for this Zor, Exodia Epidemic. Every time you double jump or bullet jump and then doing a slam attack afterwards, you are going to make this nice projectile which can render enemies suspended in the air for a few seconds. Really good for crowd control, and sometimes it can even apply a few status effects on an enemy, which is pretty sweet. Lastly, before we go on to the demonstration, always remember that every time you reach a comfortable combo multiplier, like 7 times to 12 times, be sure to use it on like a heavy slam attack or just a normal heavy attack, because you don't want to waste that 12x. Better make use of it on tough enemies. Now let's take a look at the demonstration. Usually the final part of every build video I do. Well, not every, but this is just new thing. We're gonna be testing it against level 150 heavy gunners, copper stack, and bombards, the usual victims. One thing you should keep in mind is that because these enemies are level 150, they are outside the range of what you call the usually encountered enemy level range thing. Anyway, enjoy. And that's it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching. If you guys liked it, then be sure to leave a like, write a nice comment, and please consider subscribing. Consider supporting me on Patreon because I would definitely appreciate it and you will get special perks. And finally, before we end the video, I just want to say thank you everyone for your positive feedback and comments on my returning to Warframe video. I'm really happy that I get to play this game again without feeling too negative about it. I mean, there is still a part of me who thinks that this game is kinda shite, but I'm ready to accept that if you play a game, there has to be some sort of love-hate relationship with it. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll catch you guys in another video. Goodbye.